So this week we are talking about fractions, and fractions are just parts of a whole. And when we talk about fractions, we have to remember that they have to be of equal size. Imagine, for example, you're sharing something with your brother or sister and your mom cuts it into parts. If they get a bigger piece than you are probably not going to be happy. So you want to work with equal sized pieces. That's the same for fractions as well. For example, we have this Hershey bar right here, and it's broken into different pieces. Now, if I was to give Mr. Fisher this piece and Nolan this piece, Mr. Fisher might be a little bit sad. Or if I was to give Mason this little piece and I was to give Nolan all the rest of that, Mason might be a little bit sad about that. So when we're working with fractions and cutting them into pieces, we have to remember that they need to be equal parts. They're any parts of a whole. For example, in this Hershey bar that we have, you can see we actually have 12 different pieces inside this. So this one piece that we have right here is represented by the number that's on the top, the numerator. And the numerator is the number that just describes the parts that you're talking about. For example, we're talking about this one piece that I pulled out. And then the denominator, or the number on the bottom, is the number of pieces in total. This one whole candy bar has been split into 12 little pieces, which means that my denominator needs to be 12. So when you're working with that, that's actually called the unit fraction. So that just names one part of the whole. For example, if I was to split my candy bar a different way and I was just to split it into these pieces here, I wouldn't say that's 1 out of 12 anymore. This piece over here is 1 out of 2 pieces, or 1/2. So whenever we're working with what's called a unit fraction, we're just remembering that it's naming one piece of the whole. So for example, I might have a sandwich that's divided into 4 equal pieces, or fourths. 1/4 of that would be the unit fraction. Another thing that we want to remember then is that we can also talk about more than one piece of it. For example, if I was to give Mason these 2 pieces right here, I would be giving him 2 out of how many total? 12. So we'd have 2 out of 12, or 2/12. Again, I can change that by saying I'm going to give him all 3 of these, and then my numerator changes again. I still have 12 pieces inside my candy bar, but this time I'm giving Mason 3 of those pieces, or 3/12. Sorry, my 12 looks a little bit silly. My marker did that leaky thing it always does at school. So when we're working with fractions, a couple things to remember is that they need to be equal parts. They need to make sure that the number on the top represents how many pieces you're talking about, and the number on the bottom, or the denominator, talks about how many pieces it's been cut into as a whole. Remembering that when you're talking about a unit fraction, that's just one of the total number of pieces. That's the unit fraction. The pieces are equal as well. So what I want you to do is, after you watch this video, I want you to see if you can find a few things around your house that can be cut into equal parts. Maybe that's a sandwich. Maybe that's an apple. Maybe it's a piece of paper. Find some things that you can cut into equal pieces. Maybe it's a dozen eggs you have in your refrigerator, and have your parents talk with you about splitting those into equal parts and seeing what the unit fraction is. For example, eggs. If it's a dozen eggs, 1 egg is 1 out of 12. So go on a little hunt around your house, and if you get a chance, then respond to this video and with a little comment about what you found and what fraction you split it into. Maybe it's just a comment typed below. Maybe you have a little video that you made. Go ahead and share that so that we can see some of your thinking and what you discovered around your house.